Hey guys, for this video we're going to do the brakes on that 2014 Ford Escape. Brakes are pretty easy to do with just a few basic tools, so we're going to go through how anyone can do it and not pay a small fortune to a mechanic for a job you can do yourself. Now I picked up the parts on Amazon. I'm going to be doing the rear brakes, but this is four-wheel disc, so doing the fronts and the backs are pretty much the same process. Picked up these Bosch pads and a couple of rotors. The pads come in a set, so this will do the rears. Rotors are sold singularly, so you have to buy one for each wheel that you are doing the brakes on. To start off, if you got covers like these on there, you got to pop them off. There's just little tabs. See the little tab? It grabs the back side here, so you're just going to pull them off all the way around. This thing's plastic, so try not to break it, but taking the wheel off will be easier next time if you do break it, because it'll be one less thing you got to do. We got it jacked up, and this is probably a bad example for a simple brake job, because in the infinite wisdom of Ford, they have these caps that go over the lug nuts. It's supposed to be a 19mm socket, which you can see I have right here, and I had to beat this one on with a hammer because 19mm sockets don't fit these anymore. Look it up. Tons of people have this problem. These lug nuts are awful. So if you have the same problem as me, you'll have to make a sacrificial socket that you just beat on there and then have the joy of getting it back off. Look at that stupid cap that's over it. Looks real nice and pretty now, don't it? Once we get the tire off, we gotta take the caliper bolts off. They come with these little plastic caps that you just pull off, and then it's a hex inside there, and that's a 7mm. So we're gonna take that one off, and then this one right there. Once those bolts are out, you can push them back a little bit just to make sure they're not still in this hole at all. And then just use a screwdriver or something and pry the caliper off. And then here you can see our pads that we're going to replace. Because we're changing the rotor, we have to take off this bracket also. There's a bolt right there and right there. Those two bolts, by the way, are 13mm. So once that bracket's off, there's nothing holding the rotor except for rust. So if it doesn't pop right off, get your hammer and start swinging. After a few healthy whacks, it'll come off, and you'll have something that looks like this. Now here's our new rotor. Usually they're going to come with kind of a film on them, keep them from rusting when getting shipped or whatever. It's a good idea to spray a little brake fluid on there where the pads ride, and then wipe it with a rag. Just make sure it's all clean and ready to go. So we're just going to give it a little something around the edges. Get a nice healthy wipe down. Flip it over and do this side. Another thing we're going to have to do is get this piston pushed all the way back to somewhere in this general area. Now as soon as you see these two holes here, you know it's the screw-in, wind-back style. They make a tool that actually goes right in there, and you can put on a drill or something, and or an impact, and wind it back. But I actually bought that, and it's coming tomorrow, but we're doing this today. So you can stick some needle nose in here, kind of push in, turn clockwise, and you'll get there. It's a little easier to do with two hands. After we get that piston pushed back, you can put the new rotor back on. It just slides on, just sits here. And then we're going to put that bracket back on that used this bolt and this bolt down here. That was the 13mm. Once we have that bracket on, we can put the new pads on. Notice the one that goes to the inside has this bracket clip, whatever you want to call it. That goes on the inside. This one goes on the outside. It'll just sit kind of like that. So now they're in place. We just have to slide the caliper over the top. Now if the piston isn't back far enough, you might have to go some more. But if it goes on, you're good. Slide the caliper back on over the pads. Then remember you got this bolt here, this bolt here. Those are those hex bolts, the Allens, and these little caps. Just a little dust cap, but whatever. Make it easier to take off next time if there's not crap in there. There you go. So then you're going to do the same thing to the other side. Now would be a good time to check the brake fluid, fill it if you have to, before you go anywhere. Make sure to pump your brakes, get those pistons back to the right position.